Gentlemen, we are going to do some color theory review. Most of this stuff you've probably heard before in the art classes that you took in elementary school, or even from me last year, or previous years. So, let's start going through some color theory. And with all color theory, we start with primary colors. These are the colors that cannot be made by mixing. They create the other colors. Does anyone have any idea what the three primary colors are? You're right, they are red, yellow, and blue. So these are colors that cannot be made by mixing. So if you do not start off with red, yellow, and blue, you cannot end up with red, yellow, and blue. So even when they make the paints, they have to use pigments that are naturally those colors because they cannot make them. Alright, so then we go into the secondary colors. These are the colors that are made by mixing equal amounts of two primary colors. Anyone have any idea what the three secondary colors are and how you make them? So, blue and yellow make green, red and yellow make orange, and red and blue make purple. So those are the three secondaries. You want to make sure they are equal amounts of the two primary colors, because when you have unequal amounts, they make a different kind of color that's called a tertiary color, which is like yellow-green or red-orange. So we're talking about the secondary colors that are made by mixing equal amounts of two primaries.
Oh, there are three primary colors. Only three are primary, it's true. The world is full of every kind of color, but we're just talking red, yellow, and blue. Red, 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 red. Yellow, 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 yellow. Blue, 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 blue. These three are the primaries, it's true. Oh, there are three primary colors. Only three are primary, it's true. But if you mix the primaries together, brand new colors come right into view. Red and yellow make orange. Red and yellow make orange. Yellow and blue make green. Yellow and blue make green. Blue and red make purple. Blue and red make purple. That's a lot of colors to be seen. There are three primary colors, lots of other colors out there too. But when you're seeing any other color, they're all made up of red, yellow, and blue. Red and yellow make what? Red and yellow make orange. Hey! Yellow and blue make what? Yellow and blue make red. That's right! Blue and red make what? Blue and red make purple. Hey! That's a lot of colors to be seen.
Alright, so that's a quick little video to get you to remember those three things. Now, when we're talking about color wheels, we're going to talk about color order. The order of the color wheel is important. They are not just random. So if we start with, say, red, what will always go on one side of red? Right, it is orange. And what will go on the other side of orange? Right, it's yellow. It always goes red, orange, yellow because it's always the secondary color that is made by the two primaries. So the three primary colors are going to be separated by the three secondary colors. So if you ever forget how to mix a color, you can always look at a color wheel and figure out where are the primaries, what secondary is between it. So if it is always primary, secondary, primary, what comes next? Green, and then what? Blue, and then finally purple. So the color wheel is a wheel, and as a wheel it is a circle. So that means you can turn it, you can flip it, as long as the order stays the same. So I could flip red and green as long as I flip these two as well. I could flip purple and orange as long as I flip these two as well. It doesn't matter which one's at the top and which one's at the bottom. So as long as they are in the correct order, which is primary, secondary that it mixes, and then the next primary, you are good. Alright, so dealing with color wheel placement, there are some relationships that happen on the color wheel. Complementary colors are generally the one we talk about. These are colors that complement or make each other look good. They are opposites on the color wheel. So as you can see here, like blue and orange are completely opposite on the color wheel from each other. It is also always a primary color and the only secondary color that it doesn't make. Because green and purple are next to blue on the color wheel, blue makes both green and purple. Blue has no part in making orange. So you can think about this like opposites attract. They make each other look good. A lot of sports teams and holidays and such will use these colors because they look good next to each other. So the three pairs are blue and orange, red and green, and purple and yellow. And you can kind of see them here. See how when we put them next to each other, they really stand out. They make each other brighter. They make each other pop. Okay, so neutral colors are the colors that are not on the color wheel. They are brown, black, and white. So they are kind of colors that kind of stay towards the background. They don't really tend to stand out. Now, in mixing brown, there are 4 ways to do it. The first of which is the most important. Does anyone have any ideas? Alright, if you mix equal amounts of all 3 primaries, you get a nice, pretty brown. Now, the other 3 ways of making brown are all related to mixing those 3 primaries, but they are only mixing 2 colors. Anyone have any ideas? That's right. When you mix complementary pairs, you are actually mixing all 3 primaries because you've got blue here, and then hidden in this orange is red and yellow. So when you're mixing blue and orange, you get brown because you're really mixing all 3 primaries. Now, these complementary pairs in mixing brown are helpful if when you start to mix your brown and you don't make all 3 primaries equal and your brown starts looking kind of purpley. That means you need more yellow. So if your brown is kind of looking green and pukey, it means you need a little bit more red. So these complementary pairs help you make that nice, pretty, equal brown. Alright, color value. Both black and white are kind of like primary colors. You cannot mix to make them. And when you add them to a color, they give color values. These values have different names. When you add black to a color, you get a shade. So shades are colors like navy blue or forest green. They're the darker versions of those color wheel colors. When you add white to a color, anyone have any idea what that's called? Right, a tint. Tints are kind of the pastel-y, the light colors. If things like pink are a tint. Now, some tints have their own names, like pink, or turquoise, and some are just called light yellow or light green. So, last but not least, a color without black or white. Those colors that we talk about on the color wheel are hues. So a pure color without black or white is called a hue. So you've got a hue, you've got the darker versions, which are the shades, and you've got the tints, which are the lighter versions. All right. Now, color schemes are a set of colors and how they're combined. There are certain kinds of color schemes that are really important when we're talking about color theory. Monochromatic color schemes. What is the word? What is a prefix? What does the prefix mono mean? Mono means one. So that means it's one color and all its tints and shades. So when you see artworks like these two, where it's all kinds of yellows, and this one's all different shades of blue. Monochromatic means it's kind of like a black and white pictures are monochromatic. They're only one color. In contrast to that, complementary color schemes. All right, use those complementary colors, those colors that are opposite on the color wheel. When you use this color scheme, things tend to stand out. See how these tomatoes stand out from the green background? The center of this flower stands out from its purple petals. Now, analogous are the ones that are the hardest one to remember. They are the colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So if you have blue and all the blue and green and bluey purple, those are the colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. Two typical kinds of analogous color schemes are warm and cool. Warm colors are those colors from red to yellow. They're all, and usually when you're using warm colors, you also include browns. So they are warm. They make you feel like summer. They make you feel warm. Cool make you feel like winter. They are that green to purple side of the color wheel. Usually grays are included when you're dealing with cool colors. So you can have a color scheme that is just warm colors or just cool colors, but when you combine them, something interesting happens. When you use warm and cool colors together, warm colors tend to advance, like this yellowy, orangey grass tends to come forward towards us, while this bluey, greeny, purpley tends to go back. So warm colors advance and cool colors recede. So these are the basics of color theory that you're going to need as we are doing our next project. Make sure that you've taken all of these topics notes.